Hey guys, welcome back to Beyond the Lineup. I'm Xavier Math, and this is Lily Colber, and we're really excited to share this episode with you. We have a very special guest today.
Yeah, so we are very excited to welcome someone that is more formally known as the Brick Street Surfer, as Brick Street is where you can find him. He is one of arguably the best surfer to ever come out of Laguna Beach. He was ranked 4th in the world in 1995, left the tour ranked 9th in the world to go work in the surf industry at some of the leading brands, including Quicksilver and Oakley. And he now currently is a business owner, started his own business called Distant Local that is operating across the U.S., just expanded to Hawaii. So yeah, we are very excited to welcome on the show today, Jeff Booth.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy listening to our episode.
Yeah, so where do you surf when Brook Street isn't breaking, like during the winter? Where do you go?
I surf Thalia Street. I actually surf Crest Street a lot.
Yeah.
I like the left at Crest.
Yeah.
And I'll surf Creek. But yeah, as I've gotten older, I'm not as aggressive, and it's like I'm not as fit as I used to be, and I don't have as much time. So the windows everything's really tight, and surfing now is just more get out in the water, get wet, have a good sesh, and just have a good time. It's not about dominating or getting the shot or winning the contest. Those days are done.
Yeah.
It's just more about lifestyle.
Yeah.
And you always feel better after a surf. I mean,
always. Yeah. Yeah. So you're one of, I would say, few pro surfers to make it out of Laguna. What was it like growing up in Laguna?
Laguna was like a sleepy, just quiet coastal town as a young kid, and I played soccer, played baseball. I started boogie boarding. I boogie boarded in the Oak Street Boogie Contest in 1977, 78, and 79.
That was your first contest too, right?
Yeah. And I started with a little boogie. And back then there was like a kit where you got this piece of foam and all these sides and glue, and you kind of had to put them together.
Oh yeah.
It was wild. So I started on a little boogie, and then I went to a bigger boogie. It was basically like a square, and I learned how to stand up on it, and I'd do 360s. And Laguna has like at Hakama, it's like a little foamy, and it rolls into a closeout. Yeah. So I'd do the roll-ins out the back, and then stand up and pull into the closeouts on the sand.
That's so sick.
So I was doing that, and a lot of my influence was hanging out around the skimboarder guys, like Chris Henderson and Tex Haynes, Victoria Skimboards, because I was a little shore break junkie. That was my deal, and I wasn't big enough, strong enough to go out in the back. So, but localism in Laguna was gnarly. Like, there'd be guys at the beach would have a fire, and they'd be sitting around the fire, and then out of town kooks would come down the stairs, they'd paddle out and surf, they'd get rousted out of the water, chased up the stairs.
No way.
Beat it, kook, go home, go back to the valley. It was like that kind of stuff. Go back to Mission Viejo, you kook. So that was the environment that I was around as a young kid. And like when I tried to surf Thalia Street, I was only allowed to go left. And guys were still riding longer boards, no leashes. If you got in their way, you got run over. It was like that heavy, yeah. And color, the 80s, color, like you see these boards, like color was just starting to happen, kind of that 80s punk movement in the early 80s.
All the bright colors.
So the old dudes with the black wetsuits and white boards with no leashes, they're like tripping out, seeing all this color, and then color migrated to wetsuits. Like I rode for Peak Wetsuits when I first turned pro, and I had like wetsuits with like 5, 6, 7, 8 different colors. Just every single panel was a different color. And then your board shirts are color, and everything's just
everywhere,
way too much flair, feathered hair.
Where did that
mullets.
even come from? Because surfing used to be like the stripe down the board shorts, and that was it. And now like all this like color came out of like Newport
Fast Times at Richmond High.
Yeah, where did it come from?
North Shore. I think that punk movement. The 80s Dayglow, fluoro, it was just part of the movement. The Oakley blades and all the color. I really got going in the early 80s. And Sean Stussy was from Newport, shaped under the Russell label, and then he came to Laguna and started shaping in Laguna Canyon. And, all the best surfers started riding Stussys. And then Michael Thompson and Mark Price came from South Africa, and they're the ones that started Gotcha. So they started Gotcha. They moved from South Africa to Laguna Beach because it reminded them of Durban.
Yeah.
Posted up here. I remember watching them walk down the stairs, And they're like, oh, there's some pro surfers coming out. And they went out and blew everyone out of the water, blew everyone's minds. And then they started hiring the locals slowly but surely. Like, we need you to be a model. We need you to be a designer. We need you to be this and that. And he built his empire from the local contingent
In
here
Laguna. Wow. That's so cool.
So then Michael Thompson his cousin was Sean Thompson. So Sean would show up. And then Michael was really good friends with Mark Richards. So Mark Richards would come and stay at Michael's flat. So like I remember seeing MR at 13 years old surfing Valley Street.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
That's inspiring.
That was cool. Like, so all of a sudden our town went from sleepy to all of a sudden this exposure. So you had Gotcha, this really cool forward brand. You had Sean Stussy in town. You had all these pro surfers, and then Martin Potter's coming into town. Shane Horan's coming into town. At that point, Shane Horan and Mark Occhilupo were kind of traveling together on tour in Aki's early ages. So Aki's like kind of roaming around town. And actually Surfing Magazine wanted to do an article on him. So back then, if you did an article on a surfer, you put the surfer on the cover. So they grabbed Aaron Chang, who was one of their staff photographers, amazing photographer, grabbed Aki. And I remember surfing Brook Street and seeing them looking at the waves. And it was too crowded, so they went down to Sleepy Hollow, had a water housing with a flash strobe.
Wow.
Aki was just taking off on waves, doing snaps right in front of Aaron Chang, and they got a photo and put it on the cover.
No
and then
way.
did the big feature on Aki.
Oh my god.
That cover shot
That's
was
probably the only
Sleepy
cover
Hollow.
shot ever from Sleepy Hollow. That's so sick.
Probably,
That's
yeah.
so awesome.
Yeah. So that exposure at a young age, seeing all that, was like, whoa. And then, there was the OP Pros, and I would get rides with Alyssa Schwartzstein. And I was like 12 years old, so she would drive me up, and like Pam Burridge was in the car. She always had pro surfers that stayed at the house, and I was the Grom, the token Grom that got the ride up to Huntington and go be exposed to it.
That's awesome. Alyssa, who's now the high school.
Yes.
Yeah, she was my coach in high school.
Yes.
It's so funny. Everything comes full circle.
Yeah, so Alyssa was pro before me. She kind of paved the way along with a guy named Mike Parsons. Then Mike became like a big wave surfer. He's also a coach. He coaches Caroline Marks on tour.
Yeah.
So they were the first two sort of juggernauts that kind of broke the mold. But yeah, growing up here, and then I'd come home and I'd have all the NSSA things on my wetsuit and bright colors. Locals didn't like it. They didn't like it.
Yeah.
What are you, little contest cook? Like, what, are you gonna go pro? You gonna be a pro surfer? Like, I would get that type of
of course they didn't like
retribution.
that.
Yeah.
And then after like all those years, you came back here. Right?
Well, I lived here.
Yeah.
I went through elementary, junior high,
What
high
kept
school.
bringing you back here?
I just grew up here as a kid.
The spot.
Yeah, and this is my hometown. That's where I grew up. But
Yeah.
a lot of to get better. If you're a Laguna surfer, to get better, you had to go to Huntington. Had to go to Salt Creek, had to go to
other
Oceanside.
spots,
You had to spread out and get outside of this town. And I think, if you look at a lot of Laguna surfers, they tend to be more travelers. Whereas if you live in a town that has really good surf, you tend to just stay in that town.
Yeah.
So it gets sort of segmented and rutted. It's like, the Huntington guys in Huntington, the Newport guys in Newport. And they don't tend to migrate into each other's turfs.
Why is that? It's just like such a West Coast thing.
It's a very West Coast thing.
Why?
I just think that's the culture here.
Yeah.
People hunker down in their zone. Whereas if you're on the East Coast, Floridians are just chasing the hurricane up and down the coast and staying at people's houses, and there's no barriers.
There's none.
Yeah.
Everything's open. And I honestly, if you think about how many world titles come from the East Coast versus the West Coast, I strongly believe it's because of this inability to travel up and down the coast and be fluid.
Yeah.
People get stuck and rutted in their own little areas.
Yeah, and they like to just surf the same spot like every day.
Yeah.
The same 4 or 3 spots just in rotation, and that's it. Even in LA, it's like the same thing. It's like the same Topanga locals like every single day. I'm like, I feel like I see you here.
Yeah.
Like every single time I paddle
That's
out.
my theory, at least.
Yeah.
And you got, so world champions, Tom Curran, Kim Mering, and Debbie Beecham. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And Kim and Tom were point surfers, surfing Rincon all the time. And Ventura, and north of Santa Barbara, and roaming around. But those people had to. It's a lot of yardage, a lot of driving.
Yeah.
So even within their little world, they would drive 30 miles north or south. I mean, think about Central Coast.
Yeah.
How many miles you put on a car to go find waves?
At least 250.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went surfing with Dave Parmenter once. I was surfing at a PSAA in Pismo, and I didn't have to surf until the next day. I'm like, Dave, let's go surf. So I met him in the morning, had breakfast. We started driving, and we found this wave that was like kind of near like Ragged Point.
Mm-hmm.
And it was off the road, and it was like 300 yards out, and I had like a 6'8", and he's just like, no, take the 7'3" Widowmaker, and he just pulls this board out of the car and goes, here, take it. And we paddled out, and we're in the middle of the ocean with like giant kelp bulbs like popping up. He catches a wave in, and I'm like left out there all by myself, and I'm like, I'm gonna die. Like, I'm gonna get taken out by a shark right now. Like, I was so freaky, but but we drove for like 3 hours looking at all these spots, and finally we're like, okay, we're gonna do it before the wind comes out.
The amount of times that I felt that same feeling surfing on the Central Coast, because you're so far out compared to like so many other spots in Southern California. Like here, it's pretty, like in Laguna, it's like really close to the shore, no matter where you are. But on the Central Coast, I remember being out like hundreds of yards waiting for sets, like at super like spots that are notorious for like sharks.
Yeah,
and you're just like by yourself, and you're like, get used to it.
You're exposed.
When I first moved up there, they were like, get used to surfing big waves alone in sharky spots. I was
cold.
Cold water. Yeah, and I was like, okay, sure. Coming from
deal.
Southern California, that was really difficult for me to
Eye-opener.
transition into.
Yeah.
But
you're not doing much hopping out there trying to hit the reform.
No. And going back to your theory, like when I first moved up there, I was only able to surf like 2 or 3 spots because of the locals.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no warm welcome into any spots around there.
Nope.
So
you just have to be a really good surfer, be humble, and put your head down.
Yeah.
And, and know you're gonna take beatings.
Gosh, that's so true. But yeah, I loved going to school up there and kind of transitioning. I know that you went to SCSU. What was your I guess being the surfer you were, why did you decide to go to SCSU?
Well, I turned pro when I was, it was like May of my senior year, and I signed a 5-year contract with Quicksilver. And I had a couple choices. I could have gone straight onto the tour, and I felt I wasn't ready. So back then we had the PSAA circuit, or the Bud Pro Tour, and they had a bunch of, they kind of said Malibu, Oceanside, Salt Creek, Trestles. And I wanted to do a year of college because I had good grades in college, and I figured there's no guarantees on making on the tour.
Yeah.
So let's do a year of college, let's surf the Bud Pro Tour, let's sharpen our skills, and then give the tour a shot. And the neat thing was, the tour then used to start in Australia and finish in Australia. So the year I started the tour was like a kind of a truncated year where it started in May, and then it finished in Hawaii. So that was the year that they flipped it. And so it was perfect timing to go to a year of college and then finish college. And I literally finished college, moved out of my place. Eric Diamond was my roommate in college at Pacific Beach.
That's awesome.
I'm like, ED, see you later, I'm going to Japan. Packed all my crap up, got home, dumped it in the garage, packed my bags, got on a plane, went to Japan. Wow. And I just toured. So we went to Japan, came back, surfed Hawaii, and then I came back and I surfed a Bud Pro Tour event at Salt Creek, and I won $20,000. It was like one of the highest cash purses at the time.
Yeah, at the time, $20,000 is a lot for a contest. That's a lot.
So I won that, had more success on the PSA circuit, and then I went to the East Coast, and that time I had no seating points on the tour. So back then the tour was one big event. It was the qualifying series that you're doing right now. It was the Challenger series, and it was the main thing all in one ball. So I surfed 6-man heats round 1, and then as you progressed it went to 4-man heats.
Wow.
And then it went to man-on-man before the round of 16. So you have to beat someone there, and then by the time you got to the round of 16, you're the lowest seed going up against the current world champ.
Wow.
So I'd have to surf 9 or 10 heats just to get to that point and then get smashed.
Wait, so that's how it was for every single contest? Was just everyone had to travel to every single event?
And for the first year I had 0 points. I go to Brazil, and I'm in a heat with 5 Brazilians and me. and it was just like enemy territory. It was really, really gnarly. So, inevitably you have mistakes and you lose out early and this, that, and the other. Like, there was a year that Tom Curran won his world titles and he left the tour. When he decided to come back on the tour in 1990, he was in the same position as me. He had to start from round one.
Oh, they made him start from the beginning?
And he won the world title that year.
Wow.
Coming from the very beginning of every single contest, all the way through. It was, I don't think people understand what a feat that was.
Yeah,
and I actually interviewed him and I asked him about that. And I go, was it a positive or a negative for you, or an advantage or disadvantage? He goes, no, it was an advantage because I got my rhythm going.
Yeah.
So when he would come up against like top seeds and they're coming off the bench cold and he's rolling.
Yeah, he's like, I just came off 9 heat wins. Like, I've been putting in like the time. Like, I'm here to,
And he was fit and strong and ready to go and young. And it was a pretty amazing feat. Wow. I don't think the surfing world gives him enough credit.
Yeah.
Because I don't know a lot of surfers that, maybe Martin Potter in his heyday, those were guys that just had this propensity of being able to win, repeat, win, and just...
That was probably like 15, 20 heats per event if you're making it all the way to the end. Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I think I heard you talk about it on another podcast saying, like, that was, like, the greatest world title win, like, ever.
Yeah.
Because he had to go from round one through all those seeding rounds, just get into the main event, and still won the world title that year.
Odds were against him.
Yeah, he had to do it perfectly, right? Yep. Like, no mistakes.
No mistakes.
No, like, little mistakes. Like, how many times have we made mistakes,
Yeah.
They're, like, inevitable.
So consistent.
You have one bad heat.
Yeah.
No, it was amazing. And I was, that was my second or third year on tour. I went on tour in 88. Yeah, third year on tour, I got to witness that.
Wow.
It was like, whoa.
That's inspiring.
Yeah.
So when did you have, like, is there a specific event where you feel like you had a breakthrough moment, or like a specific contest where you started to gain momentum? And
I mean, it was, I think my first year on tour, I went on tour, I got my ass kicked, and then I came back to California, I got 5th in the Stubbies at Oceanside, and I got 3rd at the OP Pro. And it was smaller waves, beach break conditions, places that I was comfortable with. And I worked my way through the trials, had the early man-on-man heats, knocked out a top seed and worked my way through. So I'd have these little moments, but the problem was, you go to Australia and you're not used to, Bells Beach is a super hard wave to compete at.
Yeah.
Surfing the point, up at Rincon, dropping down to Bell's Bowl, and then the contest moves to Winky Pop. So it took a lot of years to master all the breaks and get proficient, where you felt like every contest you went to, you had a good shot of making the quarterfinals or better if everything worked out. But again, like you said, you can have a bad heat, or some guy could be on a heater and just doesn't matter how good you surf, he's going to take you out. But that didn't happen for me till probably like 94, 95, 96, like my last 3 years on tour. I felt comfortable enough with all the breaks, surfing beach breaks, point breaks, reef breaks, and just that exposure and the repetition, that I felt like, okay, and I'm fit, I'm training, I've surfed the waves a lot, my equipment's good. Like, it's all those things have to come together. And even when you're feeling like you're in form, you could still lose first heat.
And you were absolutely crushing it in 1995. That's when you finished 4th in the world on the tour. Like, people don't understand how hard that is. Like, that is so hard to do. What did that mean for you?
Yeah, that was the big sort of breakthrough year. And it's funny because the year before, in 94, I finished 6th. And then 93, I was like 33rd. Wow. So I had some injuries, had a back injury, I had to drop off the tour and then go to the qualifying tour and requalify. So that was like a real dead year. And then Quicksilver had a trainer, an Australian guy that was a rugby league football trainer. And his name was Rob Rowland-Smith. And so the Parramatta Eels were a Sydney team, kind of in the inland, they call it like the eastern suburbs, and they're probably equivalent to like what the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's just gnarly, surly, badass, So here I am with Quicksilver going, hey, look, you're on our program, you're one of our athletes, you've had some injuries, you should meet with Rob and consider training with Rob. So the tour kicked off on Australia in like March at Bells. So then what I did is I went to Australia in January and I started training with Rob. And at that time, it was called the Quicksilver Pro Staff, and you had Tom Carroll which he was a part of that program. So he was kind of winding himself off the tour. Quicksilver team rider, ambassador, kind of recreating his world more domestically in Australia. So I got to train with him. I'm training with rugby league players, triathletes, swimmers, like all these gnarly athletes. It was really cool. So that was good for my confidence and psyche, and obviously.
And that was kind of early for that time to be training like that. Like not many people were, I feel like.
It was Brad Gerlach, Luke Egan, those guys were doing some training camps when they were with O'Neill.
Yeah.
Martin Potter, Sonny Garcia, John Shamuka, they trained pretty hard. So there was little pockets of us doing it. But I remember Tom used to tell me, I asked him, how did you win all your world titles? He's like, I would wake up at dark, I would train for 2 hours in the morning, I would go home, have breakfast, go to sleep, and I would wake up and I'd have 2 surfs a day.
Wow.
Rinse, repeat. And I remember when I first got to Australia and started doing the training, he was just like, I want you training every day. So I started training, and the surfing, I was like so uncoordinated and just off.
Yeah.
And then finally, you kind of recalibrate, and then your surfing catches up, and it's just like this, kind of like a wind-up doll. It's just a slingshot. So you're getting, stronger, fitter, more powerful, but your surfing suffers for a little bit, and then it just takes off.
Yeah.
And then that was, hardcore training, and then it would taper down and have little programs that you'd do, just maintenance programs. And there was like a maintenance program kind of at the end of the day that you'd do, and then there was a morning program that you would do to get you going.
Yeah.
And then you just use that stuff. And then sometimes we'd have, 4 to 6 week breaks between events and between cycles of competing on the tour, and then you go back into a little bit more hardcore training.
Yeah.
And start ratcheting it up. But a lot of soft sand, a lot of sprint work, a lot of quick going from your belly, standing up, sprinting, kind of mimicking a takeoff and first turn.
Yeah.
So we tried to use a lot of the training techniques to mimic what you're trying to do surfing.
Yeah.
Well, explosive takeoff, and come off the bottom and hit the lip.
That's so cool. I think that's like a lot of what you're doing with Brad Gerlach right now.
Yeah. Brad, a lot of like the things that Brad was using when he was on tour and when he was starting to find success now, he developed Wave Key.
Yes.
And I've been training with him since like January, and it's been like life changing, like for my surfing.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what you're saying, like trying to mimic on land, like what you're trying to do in the water.
Yes.
And kind of like teaching your body to do it on land, so that when you go out, you could just like surf, and it'll all just like, it's like what you said, the slingshot. It's like it takes a moment to catch up, but then it'll like naturally, like what you practice on land, you'll like start to find it in the water. Just like, and it's it makes such a difference.
Your best results.
I know I've gotten like my best results I've ever gotten this year.
I remember being with Gur on tour. He used to talk about that. You'd be like, because his dad was like this movement coach, this gnarly kind of guru.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, Joe Gur. Oh gosh, his dad's amazing, and he was an inventor, but like a movement guy, and I think he put that in Brad. And Brad was always talking to me like, you get your turns, and you look in the mirror and you see how everything's looking. Like he was so meticulous about everything. and again, like you're saying, you're practicing on the beach what you're going to take out into the water.
Yeah.
We were looking at it a little bit differently. It wasn't so much about style, but it was about training your body to be, you need an explosive takeoff.
Yeah.
And the first move is you're going to explode. So you're doing deep squats and exploding. Bottom turn, where are you going? You're going in the lip.
Yeah.
Ian Cairns was my coach, and he ran the ASP, and remember the OP Pro riots in '86?
Yeah.
He ran that event, and after that, he's like, I'm out of here. I'm going back to Western Australia. I got to get away from this chaos.
Jeez.
So when he came back to the U.S. in the early 90s, myself, Mike Parsons, Pat O'Connell, Mike Lambresi, Taylor Knox, the whole group of us did these clinics with Ian. And we went to C Street, we went to Huntington Beach, we went to Oceanside. And we just posted up at these spots, Point Break, Reef Break, Beach Break, kind of scene. Wanted us in some different spots, talked about approach. But his whole thing was, he made it so simple. He goes, take off as deep as you can, access the power, come off the bottom and hit the lip. hit the bloody lip as hard as you can. Get the board above the lip and throw a truckload of spray.
Yeah.
And he's like, after that, if you can hit the lip again, hit it. I mean, hit the closeout, hit it. Yeah. And guess what? You're probably going to start dropping 8s.
Yeah.
And he made it really...
It's simple,
simple, and he simplified it. You're not catching stupid waves. You're not, catching a bunch of 4s and 5s and crap. It's like, go out the back, get a bomb, and hit the lip.
Yeah.
It's like that easy.
It's that simple. Just like be on the good waves, take risks, do big turns.
So that was 91. That was the first year I made the top 16. And I got second at Margaret River in Big Surf in 1990. Got second at Pipe. That was kind of like a little precursor. And
You got second at Pipe.
Yeah, in 1990. Awesome. Tom Carroll won it. And that was 1990. That was kind of like you were asking earlier about when was your kind of coming out party.
Yeah.
I think 1990 was when I started doing some pretty good stuff. And in 91, I started the season really strong. And then I won my first pro event at Reunion Island against Damien Hardman at a surf break called St. Lou. And I was in the mix. I was kind of in the top 10 the whole year. And then I hurt my ankle at the Pipe Masters in 91. And then I wasn't able to surf the final event of the year at Sunset. So I dropped a few spots. I think I was sitting like 11 or 12 and I dropped to 15. But I kind of, I made this top 16. That was a huge thing.
That's so cool. You know what kind of surprises me is you were ranked 9th in the world in 1996, right?
That was my final year.
Yeah. And I felt like you were like getting a lot of momentum, like breaking the top 5, the year before. I was wondering, like, why did you decide to leave the tour and then work in the surf industry when you were close to breaking like top 2?
Well, I had a really bad ankle injury at Pipe in 91. So 92 season, I didn't surf the first half of the year. My ankle got published in a medical journal.
No way.
How come? What happened? Tears in the front of your ankle. So that was the year in 91 when Tom Carroll got that wave off Derek Ho, where Derek, it's like a feathering First Street pipe wave, and Derek was deeper, and he got off his board and pulled his board and got out the back of the wave, and Tom swung it right underneath him, and then Damien Hardman was like on the shoulder trying to push him deep, and Tom just like went and full air drop, barrel spat out the whole thing, and winning the contest.
Wow.
Yeah, so I hurt my ankle in that contest in the quarterfinals, and I basically had a lot of backwash in it, so I pulled back on a really good wave because Tom Kern was coming at me, and I flinched, and I was so mad at myself. I'm like, get it back, and I took off on one that was more of a double up closer to the reef, and it backwashed it. It opened it up and closed it as I was coming out full speed, and I had all my weight on my back leg, and it just drilled me through my board, and my ankle just like I tore the ligaments between the bones up here, and shredded my ankle there. I mean, it was so bad.
That's so gnarly.
So that took a long time to heal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in 92, I didn't surf that much. And then I was able to have a really good run on the second half of the year. And I almost made the top 16, only surfing half the year. So that was 92. And then 93, I hurt my back really bad. I had herniated a disc. So those years were those kind of... So I had 2 injuries that I was carrying. Mm-hmm. And 94, 95, 96 were great years, but then the injuries started to kind of catch up. Mm-hmm. My ankle would swell up all the time. My back would, I was super fit, but I was having arthritic conditions. I was going to, orthopedics and getting x-rays, and they were checking me out. They're like, whoa, you got some major issues here, but you're doing really well. Like, you're hanging in there, but the car's falling apart.
You think it was just from surfing and like doing too much and overworking, or no, what do you think it was from? Just injuries?
Sports injuries. I mean, you have a 8mm herniation in your disc that's pinched onto your nerve, and you can barely stand up for 3 months. Like,
oh my God,
that's not good. And
it's so gnarly.
Yeah. So my ankle's a mess. I had more X-rays, and they're just like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's bone on bone, but work around it, and there's really nothing. You can get surgery. What are you going to get? 10% more mobility for a bunch of scar tissue. It's like, I don't need to prove myself anymore, so I'm just just roll with it.
Yeah.
The fact that you were able to do so well that year, though, too.
Yeah.
Top 9.
No, it's great. Yeah. So
despite all the injuries.
Yeah. And then also I wanted to work in the surf industry, so Quicksilver used to give me jobs like, Jeff, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to Reunion Island, I'm going to South Africa. Well, we want you to check out the surf shops and go into the markets and tell us what you see. Like, we want your fresh eyes on it. And so it was cool.
I think it's so interesting because particularly like your case, like you're an amazing surfer, but you're also a really smart guy. And you went to college like kind of before going onto the tour, which I thought was really interesting. But when you were on tour, did you ever feel like at some point you wanted to do something more, something outside of the tour? Because I think about like even John Rose, for example. I got the opportunity to speak with him at Ohana Fest. I was like a moderator for a conversation with him, and he was talking about how like he was on tour and then he like saw like all these places he was traveling to, how they didn't have any access to clean water, and he was like, I want to do something more than the tour, something more than surfing.
He got an idea.
He started Waves for Water, and he got an idea and just ran with it. And I see like what you're doing with Distant Local, and I guess even just after the tour when you went to work in the surf industry. So I was wondering, like, from your perspective, when you were on tour, did you ever feel like at some point I feel like I want to do more?
I got a little bored. And I talked to some of my people that I looked up to on tour, and I knew that they probably weren't going to qualify one of these years, and I was kind of talking to them, so what are your plans after tour? You know, I was already kind of thinking it. Because, you know, I was always taught, before you make a move, you start something working in a direction. So if you don't just like leave one thing and then fall to the bottom, you start, you know, incubating something and nourishing it and getting it kind of moving. So you're still going to take a step down, but it's not a full flight of stairs. It's maybe a couple steps, you know, so that transition, make the transition smoother. So, you know, that was my mind. I wanted to work in the surf industry. I wanted to work for Quiksilver. I had met my wife. She was the head designer at Quiksilver. We started dating in '95. So I kind of looking at life and just go, hey, I'm getting kind of bored. I want the next thing. I've met this person I want to hang out with. And then Oakley was one of my sponsors, and they were like, hey, look, a sales rep job just became available. And the one guy who's the sales rep in Southern California is now going to be the sales manager. Would you be interested in this job? And I'm like, my gosh, whoa. And so I talked to my wife at the time, and I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. And it didn't happen until like October of my final year. And I just made the decision, like, yeah, I want to do this. So I retired from the tour, and I think it was January of '97. My first surf shop visit as the Oakley rep was at a shop called ZJ Boarding House in Santa Monica. I remember sitting in the car, like freaked out, like, oh my God, it's like getting ready to go for a heat at the US Open, right? And everyone's looking at you, and just keep your head down. It's like, oh yeah, another surfer that got a sales rep job.
Yeah.
You know, oh, how long is he gonna last? Is he gonna do a good job? You know, because, you know, when you're a pro surfer, everything's coming at you.
Yeah.
When you're a sales rep, you got to flip it. Yeah. You're going at the customer and taking care of them. So it was the first 6 months were rough. Yeah. Swallow your pride and just put your head down and work and learn and make mistakes. And, you know, but you use those disciplines as a surfer with all the training, you know, all the losses. It's like, hey, look, as long as you know, like, you're not going to die. Nothing's that gnarly. Yeah. And you're going to fail. Yeah. And just learn. As long as you're learning and getting better, it's going to be okay.
Sounds like you had like a really good mindset, but I could only imagine how hard like that mental change from like traveling the world as a surfer, going to all these surf breaks, to like now you're in the surf industry. I don't know exactly what you were doing like as a sales rep. Like, were you still traveling? Because I feel like we're surfing, we're traveling. That's like super fun, right? Yeah. And that's really compulsive. You're just on the go, right, all the time. And then now you're like working this other job.
No, I had 125 surf shop accounts to service once a month.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I was in surf shops. But what was cool is shops open at 10 a.m. So what do? You go surf. So I'm going up to service like Spider and Hermosa. I'm like calling up Dickie O'Reilly. Hey, how's El Porto? Hey, let's meet in the parking lot and surf. So I'd surf with the guys. We'd all have breakfast, and then I'd go service all the accounts. And
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'd stay at people's homes, and I had little things where I'd go up to LA and work, and then I'd stay in the South Bay, and then work my way down through Huntington, and go down to San Diego, do the same thing. That it was really fun, and I got to really live in Southern California up and down the coast, and I'm constantly in other people's areas.
Yeah.
And I was in Riverside, and I was in Temecula, and I was in El Centro. And
wow.
Surf shops out in Riverside and Temecula.
They must have been tripping out. Their sales rep was just number 9 in the world, like coming in
a couple times I came in, they're like,
what are you doing here?
What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be on tour? I'm like, no, I'm your Oakley rep now. It's like, okay. All right. Okay, we need this and we need this and we need this. And, it's just a flip.
Yeah.
By the way, let's go surf.
Yeah. I bet they all wanted to surf with you.
Yeah, no, I surfed, and I had a Tavarua trip that we did every year in April, so I bring a lot of retailers on that trip. And it was really fun.
That's awesome.
So I got to learn the industry as a sales rep in Southern California with all the big surf shops. And then Quicksilver, and I was still riding for Quicksilver at the time as like a local rider. Mm-hmm. And I went to Quicksilver. I go, hey, I noticed there's an opportunity, your reps are so busy. When these reps got really big, and they had like the surf shops, and they had Nordstrom and PacSun and Tilly's, like Zoomies, like all these really big customers. And sometimes they were getting pulled out of the surf shops. And I'm like, look, there's a lot of competition. Volcom's in the mix. Like, you guys need more of a presence in the stores with the surf shops. So they kind of carved out a role for me as like a retail marketing guy.
Okay.
So then I left Oakland, I went to Quicksilver, and I remember they gave me an office and they gave me a computer, and I had never sent an email before in my life. So I'm at Quicksilver typing emails to reps, just like, what am I doing? It was crazy.
Is that was there a little bit of an identity crisis there?
Yeah, it was just like, all right, here's another thing you got to figure out how to do.
Yeah.
And I remember my office, I could look up and I'd see Bob McKnight's office in the corner in the glass. And I look up, and Eric John at Laguna Surf and Sport is with EJ, and they're looking at me pointing and laughing.
No
so
way.
EJ ran a Quicksilver store down on Main Street, Forest Ave in Laguna Beach.
The one that just closed? Yeah.
So Eric had that for a long, long time, and I think he might have sold it back to Quicksilver. But, that Quicksilver gave people opportunities then.
Yeah.
And whether they were ready for them or not, Quicksilver was that type of company that always gave people a shot.
Totally. Like ED, when I remember him telling us about the opportunity when he got called up to go work there as like the designer. He was like, I'm taking it. Like, I guess I'm just straight out of college, but we'll figure it out.
They were trying to get him out of college. They were trying to get him before he graduated college so they'd pay him less.
Yeah, smart.
Yeah. He's like, no, he was smart like you. He's like, no, I'm going to finish my degree.
So when I was roommates with ED in college, ED used to draw hang tag art for Gotcha.
Wow.
So I would see his original. Dude's like, Jeff, check this out. Look at this. I'm sending it to MT. And they give him like $250 for a hang tag. He's making money. He wanted to work at Gotcha. I think there was a board short designer named Marshall Crum, and Marshall left. And then I think it was Walter Hoffman at Hoffman Fabrics was like, Eric, you need to take this. And again, was he ready? No. But they just threw him in.
Yeah.
And he was,
you stepped
great
into
surfer,
it,
good eye.
Yeah.
He figured it out. He learned on the job.
Yeah.
He learned how to do it. And so Eric and my wife worked together at Quicksilver. She was the head of design. He was the board short designer.
That is so cool.
And that's how I met Melissa, because Eric was supposed to set Melissa up on a date, and the person they were no show, and I showed up because ED would always give me the sample board shorts a season ahead, so I could get photos in them. And Eric goes, "Hey Melissa, you want to go out with Jeff tonight?" And she's like, "Sure." And we went out.
No way.
Yeah, and that kind of started. So we've been together for 30 years.
Wow, that's so awesome.
Hooked it up.
He hooked it up. He hooked it up.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Did you when you were leaving the tour, did you have like any fears or any like uncertainties, or did you feel like this is my time to leave? Because I think about a lot of like pro surfers in the past and also nowadays where it's like you were talking about, it's like they step off the tour, they don't have anything else, it's like they're stepping off of a cliff and they just like, it's like, what now after this? And they hold on to the tour with every last breath and everything that they have, and then when they leave it, it's like they don't have anything after that. I feel like when you were leaving the tour, did you have any fears, or did you feel like I'm ready, this is my time, I have something else I'm stepping into?
I was excited on where I was going, and I was talking to some of my mentors, and what are you guys going to do after tour? They're like, what are you talking about? This is the best thing in the world. Like, we're living the life. We're the best life in the world. What are you talking about? And I'm sitting there going, I'm looking at the ratings here, and you're pretty far down. Like, you're probably not going to qualify. You're going to be in for a shocker, and I kind of told myself, I don't want to be that guy that gets pushed out. I'd rather go out on my own terms.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was looking forward to these other things. I always wanted to be in the industry. I always wanted to contribute, be a part of it, be the authentic side of the industry. So that's what I did, and I got into it, and I was super stoked. But I'll tell you, in my experience, working at Quicksilver, Billabong, Sanuk, the corporate environment and the ladder climbing and the amount of time people take with the politics so there's doing your job, and you play your role as whatever your job is. You're the marketing person, sales manager, whatever. And then there's that corporate sort of ladder climbing wank that goes on. I was not equipped for it. I was a really black and white person. If I didn't like something, I'd call BS. If I liked something, I'd claim it. But I wasn't good at navigating that corporate landscape, and I got myself in trouble. I was like too authentic. I was too raw, too green. And I didn't like that gray area. I always like to operate on black and white. Either you win or you lose.
Yeah.
If you win, celebrate. If you lose, figure out what you did wrong and fix it.
Yeah.
Go back and tinker. But I was always sort of operating a little bit in the gray, but it was all a really good learning experience. But you talk about cutthroat, like when you surf and you compete, it's cutthroat in the water, but when you come in on the beach, shake hands, it's all done.
Yeah.
In the corporate environment, it's different. It's cutthroat. There's, behind the room talks, and if you're with one team, if you're not on the right team, you're not, it was an eye opener for me. And so I got a little bit of it was just good to see. It was a good learning experience, and you learn that you have to have thick skin. Sometimes when you think things are wrong, they're actually right, and sometimes you just got to go with things because it's just the way the tide's moving, and you got to learn that side of it. And I was very, very green and raw. And when you were asking me on tour, when did you feel like you had it kind of wired?
Yeah.
That was 5-6 seasons in.
Yeah.
So working for companies, I didn't come out of college. I didn't have a degree. I didn't work in a surf shop. I wasn't a sub rep and then became the rep, and then, and that's how a lot of people in the industry, they work their way up piece by piece, just like you do as a surfer and an athlete. I just kind of got dropped into it. So there's a lot of things I missed that I didn't have, in my background or in my back pocket that I could kind of rely on. So I had a lot of ups and downs with it, but I ended up being the sales manager at Quicksilver. I was the sales manager at Billabong, and I was the sales manager at Sanuk. And I had good relationships with my reps. I'd roll up my sleeves, work hard, and manage them, and stood up for them. Carried the company line, and then stuck up for the reps too, the best I could. And it was really fun. We had a great time.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Like, surfing can only teach you so much, and there's a lot of valuable skills in surfing. But it sounds like you kind of killed it. So what was I guess, working for brands and starting your own, like, what is something that surfing couldn't teach you going into, like, working for the brands and starting your own?
Well, I mean, there's some certain skill set things, doing financial forecasting, bottom-up planning with sales reps. I mean, there's just gnarly stuff that you just had to figure out.
Yeah.
And, and I had enough of an education, a background. I was a pretty quick study. But the one thing that I always liked is with credibility, you either have it or you don't. I don't care what your title is at a company. If you're a kook, you're a kook.
Yeah.
And people see through it. It doesn't matter how much money you make and how much stock options you get. You're still a kook.
Yeah.
And you can't do what I can do.
Yeah.
Right? But also I can't do what that person can do.
Yeah.
But that credibility's earned over time.
Yeah.
And once you have it, you have it. You can't buy it. So that the authentic side, and that's what I always wanted to bring to the table working in the surf industry is, hey, I'm a surfer that's coming into the to the brands to work. And I ended up going into sales, where most surfers came in a marketing capacity. So I was one of the rare ones that went into the sales side. But I wanted to bring that authenticity to the mix. But yeah, you know, there's certain things that as being a surfer, you just have to learn a skill set. I was advised to go back to college, get your master's.
Did you ever think about going back to college and finishing your degree, or did you finish it in that 1 year?
No, I just did 1 year. And, you know, in hindsight, I wish I would have gone back to college and finished and had a master's degree, had that title, because that title is what allowed you to move up in the ranks within the companies. But I was so busy, you know, I'm working on my career, and then Melissa and I had kids, and you just run out of time.
Like, feels that way
to do it. Yeah,
it really does.
Yeah. So then you worked in the surf industry for a couple of years, and obviously I don't know exactly how recently, I know you started Distant Local. Like, where did the idea spark for that, and how did that begin?
Yeah, so Distant Local's like, I wouldn't call it an accident, but it came from such a organic place that it was never I'm going to start a company. Here's my business plan. I have investors and I have a 3-year plan. It was never, it just organically happened.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the best things happen when you're trying to solve a problem, like what John Rose said. I'm going and traveling these places. Everywhere I go, people don't have fresh water. So he solved a problem, and now look Waves for Water. Look what he's been able to do and create. Incredible. So those are the best things when they happen organically. Yeah. But we were sitting there. I coached the junior high surf team, and it was myself and Bobby Lockhart, and our kids went through the ranks and we did the thing. It was volunteer. When the kids went to high school, we no longer had a role, because there was Scott Finn was the coach, Alyssa was the coach. So basically, we're just sitting there as parents watching our kids through. And one of the, you know, we're all drinking wine with the parents and talking. And we're like, look, our kids are good students. They're good surfers. But the school never recognizes them, the scholarships.
Yeah.
It's all CIF sports.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, screw that. We're going to make our own thing. So Melissa gets the idea to do the Laguna Beach surf zone and was celebrating our coastline. So let's create a map. So we went to Stephen Chu, Sly Dog, who does all the artwork for Laguna Surf and Sport and does the surf camps. And he created the Laguna Surf Zone map for us.
So cool. I have like the shirt and the hoodie.
It's and then we started selling it at Laguna Surf and Sport, and the proceeds from that funded the scholarship.
Yeah.
So we gave a scholarship out, and we did it to a boy and a girl, and you had to be on the surf team to qualify. So it was our racket. Right? Didn't matter if you're a good football player. No, sorry, bro.
I love that.
It was our deal.
Surfing needed that.
Yeah. So we're on our 10th year doing it.
Yeah.
And I know you won it like year 7 or...
Huge shout out, because I won it, I think it was like 4 years ago. And it went straight into my college proceeds. So
that was awesome.
It was so cool that you guys are doing that.
$2,000 for a boy and a girl, and you got to be on the surf team. It's epic. So we did that. And then we were on a Tabarua trip, and I had a customer from New Jersey that came on my trip one year, and the next year he's like, hey, Jeff, I'd like to bring my family and kids. Brings his kids, and his daughter sees Tess wearing the Laguna shirt. And the daughter's like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Like, can you make one for us? Like, we're in New Jersey, and we have a high school surf team, and we'd like to try and, you know, make a shirt that says New Jersey on it and do it as a fundraiser.
Yeah.
So we did the New Jersey shirt, and then that thing blew up, and they did really well and raised a lot of money. And then COVID hit, and all the surf shops were closed down. And we had that New Jersey shirt, and we started a website called For Society, and everything it was like a give back model. So every piece we sold had a give back. We did a T-shirt for the Laguna Food Pantry. You know, we did a T-shirt for this company or that company. And there's always someone who got to give back. So part of the proceeds, we'd peel off money and give to people. So we figured, hey, we got this New Jersey map. Let's go to all the New Jersey surf shops, and let's create a little place where they could post on their Instagram or their website, hey, if you want to support us, go to For Society and buy a shirt on our behalf. And what we were doing is we were kicking them back proceeds. So then when we came out of COVID, one of the surf shops was like, hey, that was so cool. We want to carry it in the surf shop, but we don't want the print on the front. We want the map on the back, and we want to put our surf shop logo on the front. And then that's where the light bulb went off. We were like, whoa, we might have something here. So then we started making more maps and just doing it as kind of a side job. It was just like a fun little passion project.
Yeah.
And then it just, again, I was kind of talking, you don't leave one thing and transition, go to the bottom. You start working something up, getting it to a point where when you decide to transition, it's an easier transition.
Yeah.
So we just kept this thing, it was like just in our back pocket. And we did a South Jersey map, and then we did a Florida map. We did a Texas map. We did a New York map, and it just started gaining legs. Yeah. And here I am as a sales manager. I have the playbook of who are the top 150 best surf shops in the country that do a lot of private label. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to talk to him and talk to him and talk to him. And over time, we slowly built it up. And then it finally got to a point where I was like, I think I'm ready to leave my day job and focus on this 100%.
Wow.
So do you think you could have done it without the credibility that you had?
I think having, as a sales manager and having the relationships, like 30-year relationships with retailers, and I would go to one and they might not have gotten it, but I'm saying, hey, look, here's the maps, here's who's carrying it, here's their success stories, please call them, but let's do a map of New York. And some of them didn't get it, but they were willing to try. And they, okay, well, let's take, bring in a black shirt and a white shirt, and then make it for them, get their logo, put it on, send it to them. Then I got a call 10 days later. It's like, hey man, I need more. Like, what's going on here? I'm like, I tried to tell you. Like, he's like, okay, I get it now. Let's go. It's like thinking about more of the black and the white. And they go, you got any other colors? And you got can we do a hoodie? Do you have some kids stuff? Do you have some women's stuff?
Yeah.
So then from there, it just started growing.
Yeah, it's so cool, and it's such an awesome idea because I feel like there isn't any other brand that's doing that in the way that you tailor every map to like that place. I mean, even the Laguna one, it shows all the local spots with all the names, even has like Hakama and like Sleepy Hollow on it. Like, it's so awesome and such an amazing idea. But kind of tying back into what you were saying earlier about how like you almost didn't mean to like start it as a business idea, very similar to like John's story. He didn't really intend to start Waves for Water. He just wanted to help people, and he just started putting time into that and trying to build that and help people. And then he realized, oh my God, wait, I kind of like have something here. But what has starting a business taught you, and like what were your biggest takeaways so far, especially like coming from a surfing background and kind of like starting it kind of not necessarily unintentionally, but
businesses are really hard. They're really hard. Like you got to put on a bunch of different hats. You have to transition. You're in sales, you're in production, you're in customer service, you're in invoicing, you're in collections. It's like, I'm like a virus, and I'm just moving through all these different aspects of, you're paying taxes, you're solving problems, you're dealing with cash flow, you're trying to get access to capital, like all that stuff's gnarly. And that's probably, I look back on, if I did have more business acumen, if I would have gone back to college, gone to business school, might have been a little bit easier. But nothing's so hard you can't figure out. It's not like I'm trying to get to the moon. We're just printing stuff on t-shirts and fleece. But it's a lot more work than you think. So when you work for a company and you have a title and you get a great salary and you have a 401k and you get stock options and bonuses, that's great. But when you have something that's your own, it's also great in a different way, but it has a different set of problems and challenges. And we work 12 hours a day. I'll be at the office till 9 o'clock. Sometimes I'm there at 6 a.m. Sometimes when I have time, the waves are good, I'm surfing all day. But more often than not, I'm working. We're building this company. They always say like from 1 million to 3 million, that's a real, it's like a plane taking off and you're trying to get to cruising altitude, right? Yeah. I'm in that, choppy, jumpy, and nothing's perfect. I'm not planing yet. Yeah. But we're building our base and we're having fun. And, we just hired some reps in the Rockies, Pacific Northwest. So we're going to landlocked areas, ski resorts, national parks, that kind of stuff. So we're really branching out with what we're doing. We're in Hawaii right now doing really well. Wow. So, California, Florida, Hawaii, those are really big areas. New Jersey's a big area for us. And what we're doing is our company, we end up as we're like a private label resource. So when a customer walks in and they see, Laguna Surf and Sport logo on the front and the Laguna map on the back, to them, the customer, they're buying a Laguna Surf and Sport piece. Yeah. Even though it says distant local on the inside neck label. It has a distant local hang tag.
Yeah.
To the consumer, it's the Surf Shop's private label piece.
Yeah.
So we occupy that space. We're not a brand necessarily going, oh, here's our Rourke product offering or
it's
Vizsla
like
product
you tailor
offering.
it to every single surf shop. That's genius.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of the brands, because they're developing so many seasons a year, they don't, in their development timeline, they don't have the time to build that particular map because they take a while to build. And then the surf shops don't have an artist that's on staff to produce that type of product either. So there's this nice little niche that we fill, and the product sells really well, and it becomes part of their private label offering. It sits next to all their other stuff on the floor, and it's always front and center. It's in a good place in the store where people see it quickly. And a lot of people that are on vacation, they see a product like, oh my gosh, I've had a great time here. I want to bring home a keepsake, and I want to bring home some presents for my family and share my experience and wear something that reminds me of my experience in that place.
Yeah.
So it's about emotion.
Yeah.
We figured like we sort of tap into people in vacation state of mind and that emotional connection, and that's where our brand really resonates. So we're not like this hardcore surf brand that puts on contests and sponsors athletes and does these videos and events. No, we're not that. But we're tapping into people's emotions.
You're so much more it's way broader than that. You're probably getting more consumers than just the surf world.
I mean, we sell primarily to tourists that are having a good time, we also sell to locals who want to represent their area. That's why we spend a lot of time with the retailers. Going, what are the points of interest? What surf breaks are we not going to name?
How do you build the maps?
We have a lot of So that one break you were talking about in the Central Coast, we put a giant banyan tree in front of the little notch, so you don't even know it's there. It's not called out, and as far as anyone's concerned, it doesn't exist.
So you get local knowledge though before you make these shirts, right?
And I have a general understanding, but then you get the real particular stuff.
So what's like the balance between getting an accurate depiction of all of the local spots and like building a map, but then also not listing spots that like people would get maybe pissed off about, like putting it on the map literally?
Well, for instance, like we have a La Jolla map, and we didn't even put Big Rock on there, but Big Rock's visible from the street. If there's a webcam on it, if it's visible from the road, it's we put Wind and Sea, but we didn't put Simmons, and we didn't put Horseshoes. We didn't put Little Point. Like those are just taboo. You don't do that. But like Wind and Sea, you can put Wind and Sea. And you kind of clear it from the people. What's cool, what's not.
Who do you have to like consult with?
No, I consult with the surf shops.
I
consult with local surfers in the area. And I have one guy in Monterey, he's like, oh, but you got to put this memorial to this guy who's super important in the community, and his is like a salmon skull, and so you put that in there. Cool. And this guy, his initials are this, and we got to put a pelican. Wow. So then the locals go and see that and go, oh, that's our boy BJ. We love him. He's a legend. People, the locals see those icons and they know, and then that makes us more authentic. So it's not just the tourist map. It's like we've done our homework.
Yeah, totally.
So the points of interest, the names of certain streets, the names of the roads, the names of the mountains, the little local coffee shop, the bar, the restaurant.
Wow.
We try to tile that stuff in to really make... The tourist isn't going to see it. They're just going to see the overall thing and like it.
Yeah.
The local's going to zero in and go, oh, this is cool. They're going to try and pick it apart. Yeah. And then they can't pick it apart. And they go, I got to buy it now.
Yeah, it's so spot on. Even with the Laguna one, I was looking at it and like, obviously, like this is your hometown, so that one's going to be extra spot on. But I was like looking at it and I'm like, there is no one else in the world who's able to make a map like this precise that has all of the local spots. And like, for me, it's like someone who's from here. I look at that and I'm like, that is so awesome.
It's
like, I want it's
so
authenticated.
authentic.
It's like anyone living in Laguna like can't say anything about it. It has like all the spots and it's so awesome. It's like I want to rep this, It's not like some like kooky hoodie that like some like huge brand or like corporation is trying to recreate some Laguna thing. It like has such an authentic, genuine vibe to it because everything on it is.
And they take time.
Yeah.
And we'll get it to a point and then we'll share it with the retailer and then they give us a list of changes we do and we send them back and it kind of toggles back and forth to where it's like, all right, it's done.
Yeah.
We're ready to go, bring it to market, sort of thing. So, we're up to like, we're almost up to like 75 maps, about 150 customers. We're in Australia now. So
that's
awesome.
The company's moving and it's been fun. Tess works on a little bit of our social media. Travis works on some of our SEO work for our website behind the scenes.
Wow, so it's a family affair. I love it.
We're trying to get them more and more involved, but it's mainly Melissa and I driving it. I drive kind of the day-to-day sales operations, production. Melissa's on the visionary side, coming up with new ways to color things and what we're gonna, what's the new thing for each season. So she's the visionary, sets the tone, then we work under her and execute her vision. Yeah. So it's been really good, and we're just we got a small little team, and we're gonna try and keep it small, tight, and right, and have fun. We have a sales rep force of about 8 people around the country, including Hawaii. Wow. So I got boots on the ground. Yeah. It's all people I've worked with in the past.
Wow,
that's huge. That's like coming from the tour to starting your own brand. That takes courage and so much discipline, and people don't even understand how much hard work that takes behind the scenes, right?
Well, no, I mean, I literally got to a point where I was like, I'm tired of working for the man. If I don't try this now, I'm going to kick myself in the ass. And it just got to a point where I was almost forced into going, screw this, I'm going to do this. Yeah. I'm going to roll up my sleeves, decide this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it. And it was scary. And
I bet.
It was scary, but once I got into it and got up and running, I wouldn't say it's getting funner, but I mean, it's really fun, it's exciting, but it's just the bigger you get, the gnarlier it gets.
Yeah.
Sounds like you wish you got into it a little earlier.
I wish and I look back at every single pro surfer. I mean, any advice I have to any pro surfer is start your own brand now. Like, you're already a brand as a surfer. Every pro surfer should have their own company. Yeah. Because you can't rely on the big clothing brands anymore.
Yeah, you can't.
You see what's happened to them. They're all licensed out, and they're not paying the big bucks anymore. So, like, the Red Bulls and that's where the big contracts are coming from, I think. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
But totally. Yeah.
Back when I did it, the clothing company was your biggest paycheck.
Yeah. And it's not like that anymore.
It's not like that anymore.
So what's the biggest piece of advice that you have for people coming off tour or coming off of like a career in pro surfing that are looking to succeed and like find life after that? Because
I think start it sooner. Start it while you're on tour.
Yeah.
Have that be your little side project, because you're not always surfing a contest.
Yeah.
And Alan Green at Quicksilver, he was the founder of Quicksilver in Australia. He's like, Boothie, how many hours of sunlight is there in a day? He was this old raunchy, just classic old Aussie guy. I'm like, Greenie, 12 hours. He goes, how many hours do you surf a day? I'm like, 6. And he goes, well, what the F do you do the other 6 hours a day? And it was so like, it was like, oh my gosh. It's like, wow. Yeah. And then he was like, you need to start thinking about what your next gig is.
Totally.
But you start doing it while you're doing your current gig.
Yeah.
It's like every pro surfer, in my mind, when I look at it now and I look at the landscape, you can't rely on sponsors. Why wouldn't you start your own thing?
Yeah.
Could be a sunscreen company. Could be a clothing company.
Yeah, totally.
Could be surfboard fin. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're on tour, it's like you're surrounded by a bunch of other pro surfers, all these connections. You're traveling around the world. Like, when is a better time to start working on something, start bouncing ideas off of people, testing things out, making connections, advertising,
new places.
Start a company with a bunch of your buddies.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
totally.
Whatever it is. But think about all the time that you're traveling, you're at airports, you're in transit, there's a lot of idle time.
Yeah.
So that would be my recommendation to any pro surfer. It's like, you're your own brand. Create something that you can monetize.
Yeah.
That when you're done being a competitive surfer going for world titles, start your own gig.
Yeah.
Don't rely on the company to have a job for you.
Totally.
Probably not going to be there.
No. Yeah. It's not like it used to be.
Yeah.
It's not like it used to be. Yeah. No, and the sponsorship dollars aren't there like they used to be.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just got to do it yourself.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like it's so fulfilling being able to like build your own project. I mean, I'm sure you could speak to it, but starting your own company and working on this passion project and turning into something, I'm sure it's been so fulfilling, like being able to bring that to life and seeing this idea really transform and turn into something.
Yeah. It's funny because when I used to be on tour, you're chasing points.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm number 6. I got to get to number 5. So when I do every month, I'm like, okay, what did I do? So for October, what did I do last October? And I'll kind of sit there and I'll look at it and I'm like, okay, well, now I have this many more accounts. I'm going to smash that number. So to me, it's almost fun. It's like I'm on the tour chasing points. How do I beat last October? You know, what number am I trying to hit for the end of the year? So I have these little games that I play internally with
bringing
myself.
Your competitive
Just
mindset into it.
Then I'm like grinding on the reps. Like, why are you grinding me, Sarah? Hey, we're trying to hit a number. It's like, what number are we trying to hit? So
cool.
that's try to make it fun.
Yeah.
And the funnest thing is working with retailers, understanding their business, understanding where I can come in and help. Where can we help you?
Yeah.
That's, and these retailers are having challenges because the brands, they're having to switch their product mix, and it's a lot of work. And a couple of these brands occupy a huge part of their business, so they're having to replace that with not 3 companies, with maybe 6 or 8 companies.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more work for them, and then they're trying to make their private label bigger, and so the surf shops are trying to figure it out right now too. So we see an opportunity. We're a service,
Huge
right? What can we
opportunity,
do to try to help you guys and partner with you guys? So it's fun.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So we kind of wanted to get your perspective since you were on tour. Do you think it's easier or more difficult to make tour today? And what do you think it takes to make the world tour today?
Oh, I think it's way harder to make the tour. Oh my gosh, it's like salmon to the spawning grounds. Like, it's such a tight little thing, and to get through that Challenger Series, it's like you're going against the best of the best from every single region.
Yeah.
Get through the Challenger Series, then you get on the tour, and then those first events are really, really, every single one of those waves is a deep water wave, it's a power wave, it's a tricky wave to surf.
Yeah.
It's not like you come off the Challenger Series and you're going to dominate those spots. Those spots take years to get good at. So I think that the young kids are at a disadvantage as rookies coming on tour. And I don't know what the tour can do, but I've seen a lot of really good surfers qualify, and then they get there and they never surfed bells before, and they don't know how to position themselves in the lineup. It takes years to figure that out.
You just sunset, like all those waves. It's not a wave you just show up at.
So they're doing that, and then the competition is so much gnarlier, and then they're the low seed against the top seed, so there's so much stacked against them.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing, is to stay on tour.
Yeah.
It's one thing to get on tour. It's the next thing to stay on tour. And there's so much incredible talent now, and they're pushing the limits so hard. And with the injuries, I just look at it, I marvel. And I look at someone like a Kelly Slater and how he was able to sustain himself so long and be so competitive and so relevant for such a long period of time.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you're not human.
No.
Yeah.
Watching someone like John.
You competed against him.
Yeah, I competed against him. It's
and he's still doing CT events. It's crazy.
And when he won the Pipe Masters,
that was amazing. I think that was one of the most incredible feats in surfing.
It was one of the most emotional ones.
Yeah, definitely one of the most emotional.
One of my old reps was one of the guys with the champagne bottle when they were carrying him up. Champagne Kelly. Just really, those are really cool.
But what do you think it takes to make the tour today?
I think it takes an amazing amount of talent. It takes an amazing amount of drive and just commitment. In this world with social media and the phone, and there's so many things coming at you. You look at a ballet dancer, you look at a gymnast, you look at an ice skater. It's like, it's 100% focus, and you got to be willing to sacrifice your life as a young kid. And when the kids want to hang, when your friends want to hang with you, you're like, no, I got to train, I got to do this, I got to do that. So sacrifice, and you just really got to be committed. You just be 100% all in. And then even at that, you may or may not make it.
Yeah.
It's a real commitment, and a lot of kids don't want that commitment because there's too many other stimulus coming at them. Too many other opportunities to do things. But are you going to be a jack of all trades and a master of none, or are you going to be really, really good at something? And if you want to be really, really good at something, you have to commit to it. And there's sacrifices. So it's really up to the individual, but I think society makes that more difficult. It creates a headwind. So you got
kind of tries to draw you into all these different directions. And
you have to have that courage, and that's going to be lonely, and you got to be tough mentally to do it. So it's like, Good luck.
Would you say that though? Like since I kind of did grow up in San Clemente. Would you say that like doing it with a group or a posse though makes it a little easier?
I think it makes it a lot easier. Like with that group's feeding off each other. Mm-hmm. They're drafting off each other. Yeah. They're picking each other up. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
How much talent that's coming out of that area with Griff and Cole and Crosby and then there's a whole nother slew of them.
Oh my gosh, there's so much talent.
It's like this factory.
And they're all feeding off of each other, yeah.
Yes, yeah. I think it's great. It's hard to be your own person.
Yeah.
And like a journeyman, it gets lonely. You need support.
Yeah.
Those guys are their own support crew, which is cool. And they're pushing each other. And, like watching them get better, like watching some of them that are really, really good in certain areas, and then there's other areas where they're not so good, and you're watching them get better, and they're sharpening their sword in those areas, and they're becoming like this complete surfer.
Yeah.
And it's really fun to watch.
Yeah.
It just blows me away.
Yeah. All right, coming up on our closing question, if you could sum up one piece of advice or maybe what you've learned from your life after the tour, what would it be?
After the tour, I think just being patient and letting things happen in due course. You can't always have everything all at once, but even though you might not be getting what you want, keep chipping away at it, and you'll get there, I think is the message. Because when I was younger, I wanted things too badly, too quick. And especially now, like I was saying, there's so much stimulus. Everyone wants instant gratification. Yeah. It's just like, slow it down, and you'll get there, and appreciate the journey and the ride. But it's not going to happen with a snap of the finger.
Yeah,
it's just not. It's too hard.
Yeah.
And if it does happen for you, the snap of the finger, then good on you, because you're amazing. But more often, what I've seen is things always take longer than you think. Mm-hmm. So just be patient. And you'll get there when you get there.
The best things take the most time, right?
They do. Yeah. If you're all of us are trying to climb up the mountain, and when you slip and fall and tumble, dust yourself off and keep climbing up the mountain.
Yeah.
Because we all learn how to walk, and how did we learn how to walk? We failed, we fell, we hit our head, we cried.
Yeah.
Eventually, we learned how to walk. If you quit, you never learn how to walk.
Yeah.
Crawling on your hands and knuckles the rest of your life. So.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, it's been awesome having you on. Thank you so much for your time. I know we really appreciate it, honestly. Awesome. We're so inspired by you and love the way you surf, and we're so stoked on that clip you sent us.
I'm still trying to surf. It gets harder and harder. Gravity. I feel gravity now. Gravity's like a friend at my age. But I'm still trying.
Where can our followers reach you and follow the rest of your story?
My Instagram handle is Brook Street Surfer, and then our website is distantlocal.com. So those would be the two places to check us out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll make sure to tag those. So,
all right.
Yeah, to all of our followers, make sure to go check Jeff out. And thank you for joining us.
We'll see you guys in the surf.
See you in the surf.
Give me a wave.
At Brook Street, but don't paddle out to the beach.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff.
Right on.
Cool.
Right on, people. Thanks for having me.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in again.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and leave a comment down below.
We seriously could not do this without any of your support or any of your help.
Yeah, seriously though, your help and your support is what makes all of this possible and what allows us to have all of these amazing guests on and share these conversations with you guys.
And we look forward to seeing you next episode. Thank you.
Yeah, tune in. Thanks.
Okay, I think that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Boom.
Boom.
Boom shakalaka.